Welcome to March. Have you ever considered how you make decisions? Do you weigh the pros and cons? Do you use your gut instinct? Maybe it's intuition or something else? Have you ever set a goal for yourself, not achieved it, and then beat yourself up mentally? Maybe like, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to write 1,000 words a day on my new book I'm writing. I'm going to be seeing my family and friends more. Or do you say things like, I really should, I ought to, I have to, I should save more money, I ought to learn Spanish, I have to clean out my closets. And yet we never get around to it. How many are familiar with around to it? Yeah. Joe reminded me Zig Ziglar started this. And I had one of those back in the 80s. Someone handed me this little wooden one, had red to it on the front of it. And it's like, okay, now you've got around to it, so let's get it done. Getting around to it. My message today is unveiling your soul's true priorities. And we're beginning our new series for the month of March, and it's called Living Our Values Every Day. And we're going to be exploring this topic all month. So, in introducing this, we're going to be using our book of the month, The Values Factor, by Dr. John DeMartini. You may have seen this before because I've used this book for 11 years, and we'll talk more about that. But one of the first things we have to figure out is, what are our values? What are our values? And first, we want to look at what they're not. And the first time I studied this book, it took me a minute to wrap my head around that, because when we think of values, we think of things like honesty and integrity and trust and truth and things like that, right? Those big words. DeMartini suggests that those are actually social idealisms, ways of being and interacting in society, in community, in our tribe. Good things, but not our true values. These are not the things that get us out of bed in the morning to go forth into the world and do the driving force. Unless perhaps you're in a business or an industry that's the focal point. Maybe if you were a judge, honesty and integrity might be, but yet we see judges and stuff that may not be living that value. So, according to the author of the book, he says true values are as specific to you as your fingerprint, your retinal pattern, and your voice print. Specific to you. Values are not something that we compare with each other. Oh, we've got the same values, so it's going to be the same thing to both of us, right? Not necessarily. Let's say you value research. I value research. But you may be researching cures for cancer or baseball statistics. Maybe we're researching real estate. We really love digging into the best properties, where they're located, what the values of them are. Maybe we're looking for the best steakhouse in town, the best restaurant. Maybe we value food and nourishment and the restaurant experience. That's a value for us. Maybe it's travel, best travel deals. I can talk about Valerie because she's not here this morning. She's on a ship in the middle of the ocean. But travel is one of her values. Would you agree? She always finds a way to work it into the conversation. She travels herself. She's a travel agent. She likes that connection with new people, seeing the world, having that broader view of human experience. She lives that value. Gets her out of bed in the morning, I can assure you. Our values, though, change throughout our life. When I first read that piece of this book, I thought, well, no, not necessarily. But as I think back, it's true. When I was in my 20s, things that I valued were starting a relationship, establishing a career, setting a financial foundation for my future. Now that I'm in my mid-60s, I have different values in that area. I'm looking more at winding down career. I'm looking more at retirement and what does that look like and how do those finances work and my own mortality. When I hit 60, I could suddenly begin to see the light at the end of the tunnel, as they say. The runway's getting shorter. And, it just does every year. So we start to think about things like leaving a legacy to whom and what, and our own mortality. Our core values are the things that drive the actions that we take every single day. Sometimes values can be kind of dusted off and stuck up on a shelf. Yeah, they're there. That's what I do. But these core values we're talking about are the things that we live every single day, that we make our decisions, big and small, based on. When we can define what those are and then begin to live in alignment with them, we can live more authentically and in harmony, and that's going to lead to more meaning and more contentment in our life. I think our true values are one way that the divine spark of spirit within us is individualized through form and function. Because values are so unique to us and the way that we live them, that is our individualization of spirit. So understanding those allows our soul to be revealed through our thoughts, words, and actions. We're no longer conflicted with the shoulds of our lives. Those things that we should be doing, but we haven't been doing. We should go to the gym, but something always gets in the way. We should eat better, but something always gets in the way. We should, what are your shoulds? What are the shoulds that, gosh, they end up on my to-do list every week. They end up on my goal sheet every year, and I just haven't done it. This book of the month, it's been instrumental in my life for just evaluating my life itself, for understanding my passion, my values, and actually accepting my call into ministry. Because I thought I knew what my values were, and they were here. But I kept getting this call to ministry, spirit tapping on my heart, going, and I kept going, no, this is here. And when I did this work, I began to realize that's not true. That's not true. That's not how you're living your life. And I was able to step into this call to ministry. The exercises and case studies helped me to go deeply within and to reflect on what is important, to answer those deeper questions, to notice how I live, what I do, how I spend my money, how I spend my time, what's important to me, what my priorities are, simply by looking at what I actually do. Not what I think I should be doing, but what I'm actually doing. That's the difference. What are you actually doing? And beating yourself up for. That's where it gets painful, isn't it? When we're saying is this, we're doing this, but then we're beating ourselves up because it's not, what is going on? This is my fourth time through this book in 11 years because values change, right? There are a lot of exercises in the book, and in the second chapter, there are two that I really like and remember. They're ones that I reflect back on. It's discover what you love. The other one is his 6-step process of asking 13 questions to determine what your highest values are. Each one of those questions has a minimum of 3 answers. You can certainly go deeper with them. And then you spend 4 more steps evaluating those answers and reorganizing until you get your hierarchy of 5 values. And you look at those from, okay, the first 2 values, number 1 and number 2, what happens when they conflict? Which one do I pick? So you really get it dialed in. 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, and so forth. And it helps us in the end to understand how we're already living our values and letting go of all those shoulds. The challenge is when our minds are in conflict with our actions. Have you noticed that? Our minds say, oh, one more little piece of cake won't hurt. Actually, your hand says that. Your mind is saying, you're on a diet, don't do that. I talk a lot in this community about the importance of living in alignment with our thoughts, our words, and our actions. And I do that because that's a key component to being a successful manifester of your life, of your dreams. When we're over here with a desire, I want this, and then our words and our actions don't support that, it negates it. We do our prayer, and then our actions and our words don't support that. We cannot be in alignment with it. We're not a vibrational match to that which we say we desire. So we have to find ways to get ourselves into alignment. I hear that in all areas of life, but I think mostly, as I was thinking about it, I hear it in relationships and in finance, where we have these dreams, desires, but our words and our actions don't support that. Ernest Holmes is the author of The Science of Mind. He's the founder of Centers for Spiritual Living. And he says, you will attract into your life those people, conditions, and events which validate your deepest beliefs. That is why it is very important to cleanse yourself of the junk values of the past and continually see yourself as a worthy and prosperous person. I think I've used that quote in the last few weeks, but it's a good one. When our vibration is steady, meaning in alignment with our thoughts, words, and actions, universal law must match that vibration, and our desire is met. That's how it works. But when we're over here all over the place, we're not in a vibrational match to it. So that's the importance of it. These exercises shine the light on those areas where we may be out of alignment and gives us a roadmap back to balance and harmony. I found another quote. Have you heard of the minimalists guys on Netflix that do documentaries? Yeah, I had not heard of them, but the quote is appropriate for this. It says, if your actions don't align with your values, you'll continue to experience a chasm of discontent. A chasm of discontent. I didn't give you this one, Joe, but I was reminded this week about a Steve Jobs quote where he said, I've looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I'm about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something. I know I need to change something. Something's out of alignment. Are there areas of your life where you're experiencing that chasm of discontent or saying no too many days in a row? When we're living our values every day, we can consciously make choices that feed us, that support us, that motivate us, that encourage us. When we're living this process, it requires regular check-ins with ourselves. It requires inter-reflection. It's deeper work to really get at where are the disconnects in my life? How am I living? How am I really living and experiencing my life versus what I say I want? And later on this month, we're going to show you how to link those values to those desires when they don't appear to go together so that you can achieve even greater success. But today we're just figuring out what our values are this week. Roy Disney, Walt's nephew, he said, when your values are clear to you, making decisions becomes easier. Now, the opposite of this is from the Bible. Where there is no vision, the people will perish. That one feels more like a hammer. This work, discovering when we're not living in alignment with our values, can be life-altering. And I invite you to utilize your practitioners in this community, Daniel, Lee, and myself. If you find yourself at a crossroads doing this work, get the spiritual support that you need to help you walk through that. Continue to deepen in the exercises and take an honest look at your life. What is it reflecting to you? As I said earlier, these values do change as we age, as we go through different phases of life. And you may be just in the messy middle, but you also may be transitioning to another type of belief, another value system. And all that's good, but just get the support you need if it's a challenging crossroads for you. And be gentle with yourself. Be gentle. What this does for us is when we can live from our values every day and life's inevitable challenges come around, and they do, we're better prepared to deal with them because we've got a playbook now against which we can make decisions about what's happening. It's like living in the eye of the storm and never being impacted by those winds and rains and things. We're just in that calm and peaceful place because we know who we are and we're living from that place. In 2014, at the real estate office where I work, we did an exercise where we created a document we call True North. And it was our mission, vision, purpose, our reason for being, our something else. What was the other thing? What we're best at in the world. I think it came from Good to Great, Jim Collins' work. And there was about 8 of us that put it all together, and we worked on it for many weeks and dialed it in. Everybody was happy with it, posted it. And, change happened, and we're down to only 3 of us remaining in the office who worked on that original document. But there's 8 of us that work together there, and it has become our culture because it is our values, basically, as a company. And when we have decisions to make, we turn to that. We turn to that to help support us in, well, that doesn't fit our value about this or that, or doesn't fit our vision about this. And then we can talk about that and either let the opportunity go or change the opportunity to fit the vision. And that's what it can do for us too in our personal lives. When we have that playbook, if you will, of values, we can measure situations, events, relationships, careers, everything against that. Does that fit this? This week, I invite you to take this challenge. We've got copies of the book for sale at the front. It's called The Values Factor. Identify what you love and do that 6-step process of determining your highest values. You may be surprised at what you discover. You may not be. Either way, you'll be able to be more anchored and grounded in who you are, how you're living, what the values that you hold dear are. You'll know. And you can let go of those shoulds, any of the ones that are lingering on, that you should be doing this and should be doing that, which are really, if you're not doing them, you don't really want to do them, you don't find value in doing them, isn't it a waste of time and mental energy to beat yourself up about it on a regular basis? Imagine how much more free creative time you would have when you're not beating ourselves up. The final step after you do that process is to write your personal mission statement. Write your personal mission statement for your life. According to Lori Beth Jones, author of the book The Path, which we did that in a book study here. There may be copies in the, I don't know if there's any copies in there or not, in the library. She says there's 3 elements to a mission statement. Just 3. It should be no more than a single sentence long. It should be easily understood by a 12-year-old. And it should be able to be recited by memory. She says at gunpoint. I say under pressure. Under pressure. In other words, a statement of who you are, someone you should be really familiar with. Simple 3 points about your mission statement. 1 sentence, simple to be understood by a 12-year-old, and you memorize it. And those are your spiritual practices for this week. I invite you to get the book. I invite you to do the exercises. If you have not signed up for the Mindful Monday newsletter and you want to do so, you can click on the QR, send me an email, or sign up in the lobby. This week's will include these steps. It will also include a PDF attachment to it, that will be the 13 questions. It's a flyer that DeMartini put out years ago that I still have a copy of. It's no longer available on his website, but I've got it. So I'm going to share it with you. And you can do the questions. You can do the worksheet. There's a link to his website. He's transformed himself from all in-person events like he used to do. He's got all these classes on there now. Amazing stuff that he's doing. So I invite you to check that out. Sign up if you haven't. And just, we're already living our values. I know that's what you're going to discover. What the revelation will be is the shoulds. That will be the revelation. This process will help us to releasing those and to begin to boldly live as we're meant to. As we've come here to do. That's our true purpose. To boldly live as ourselves. And so it is. And it's now your turn. Any comments, thoughts, questions, complaints about your true values? Anybody? Yes, no? Jim.
I have to confess that when the first slide came up and you started talking, I thought, oh God, that's all I need is a lecture on values today. And then as the content started to unfold, I realized this is the key to the writing and the visioning work that I'm doing with my therapist and coach. And it directly informs a lot of the writing that I need to do about the mission and vision of my life moving forward into a new season. So thank you very much for this wonderful talk.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. A new season, I like that, because we do have seasons in our lives. And to recognize those and to be prepared for the metamorphosis of it, for the shedding of the old skin and the production of the new. We're very blessed to have tools to help us with that. Daniel.
So what came up for me was that when I examine my values and there is a stuck point or resistance there, then I really need to focus in on that. Or, yeah, I really do, because that's creating some kind of resistance within. And so values is all about flow and energy and just letting it go.
Yeah,
So,
excellent. You bet. Thank you. Anybody else? All right. Thank you. Thanks, Joe. Well, I'm going to invite you to pray with me. Would you join me? How good it is that we come together on Sunday mornings in this community to share our lives, our souls, our spirit, our love, in recognition of there being only one power, one presence, one life. And that is the infinite source. It is God. It is spirit. It is presence, universal energy, whatever we call it. All of it is here now, present in this room, present in, through, and as me, and in, through, and as each one of us gathered here, online, or listening later. Recognizing there is no separation. There is only oneness. There is only wholeness in this one existence. And so from that place, I speak my word as I claim for each of us the releasing of anything that is not ours to do. For letting go of the old ideas that no longer serve us. For healing any beliefs that don't support us. And for stepping boldly into the truth of our being, of who we are as God presence. Each of us embodying that divine spark of life, of love, of God. And allowing ourselves, our souls, to be made manifest brightly and boldly through our values, through our choices, our decisions, through our lives. Whereas Marianne Williamson says, we're not here to play small. We're here to play boldly. I know for anyone that has anything on their heart this day that they are seeking prayer around, that as they lift that into their minds and hearts, we hold them in this prayer and this consciousness for the complete and total manifestation of that desire, whatever it may be, whether it's healing, wholeness, financial flow, career, relationship, whatever it might be. God's got this. So it is with a heart filled with gratitude, joy, and thanksgiving that I release this into the action and activity of law, for I know it's already done. I know it is made manifest in the mind of God, and then we simply await its manifestation in form. And we affirm this truth together by saying, and so it is.